from a good conscience and from a sincere faith. Some people have strayed from these things and have turned aside to fruitless discussion, wanting to be teachers of the law, even though they do not understand either what they are saying or the matters about which they make confident assertions. Fake men of God, they find themselves people who are unworthy. They put them up there to become teacher and become a minister in the house of the Lord. But we know that the law is good. Verse 8. If one uses it lawfully, realizing the fact that law is not made for a righteous person, but for those who are lawless and rebellious, for the ungodly and the sinners, for the unholy and worldly, for those who kill their father or mothers, for murderers, for the sexually immoral, homosexuals, slave traders, slave traders, slave traders. That's the word of the Lord condemning the behaviors of people that are wicked and immoral. And there are some people that say, but why can't God allow slavery? Because they did not understand the scriptures. They only took verses of it. Slave traders were condemned among liars and murderers and homosexuals and all the perjurers and whatever else is contrary to sound teaching, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, with which I have been entrusted. That is why you find that the Democratic Party continues to remain a slave party. The Lord spoke. Those of the Trump administration, when I gave a message of the Lord regarding the borders crisis before even it happened. And we saw how it was contained from someone that wanted to do and be God's will. And today what happened? They opened up the borders because one, you create circumstances in all these third world countries to drive people west. You make an announcement, we want our country to be great so that people can come here. We want people, because that's the experiment. We want people to see America as the beacon of light on a stand for people to see, to draw people. But that does not mean to bring murderers to kill those that are holy and righteous and innocent. That does not mean to bring all kinds of people to come and replace African Americans in this country. Some of us that came here legally, even if that we came legally, does that mean that we engage in a policy that wipes out African Americans that were here for a long time and suffered for 400 years? Because in 200 years at this rate, African American threats, African Americans that we have their ancestors actually slaved here, will be counted just like this, and they will be insignificant in America. And we have leaders that are so corrupt, and they sit and they allow it because they don't care. They want the history to be rewritten, and they want the country to be repopulated. Yes, we have a problem of labor crisis, and some people don't want to work, and we want to bring people in, but it has to be done with some senses in it, some wisdom, in line with what the world is giving unto us, to help people to be free. If we want people to be free, we should go after all their leaders that are suffering them. They are wicked and evil. Not to open and allow them to go on and encourage them and make them our friends, so that they can continue to drive the people into chains and shackles and yokes upon their neck, so that they can now come to help us to continue to rejuvenate our population. We don't want to have our own children. We want to kill all of them by aborting them all, but we want our people from other nations to come in, so that those nations will disappear and suffer. And we call it justice, and we call it righteousness, we call it holiness, we call it wickedness and evil against the places that the Lord himself have established. In the book of 1 Timothy, in chapter 6, as I draw close to the end, 1 Timothy chapter 6, in verse 1 to 11, The Lord calls us to preach the truth. In the word of the Lord, he says that all who are under the yoke as slaves are to regard their own masters as worthy of all honor, so that the name of God and our doctrine will not be spoken against. Those who have believers as their masters must not be disrespectful to them because they are brothers and sisters, but must serve them all the more because those who partake of the benefits are believers and beloved. Teach and preach these principles. Like some people, you give them a job, and because they see that you're a minister or you're a child servant of God, they disrespect you and they won't follow the rules and the policies or the laws. And then, because if you say something, they say, oh, they want to condemn you and say, oh, you're a man of God. You're supposed to allow sin to continue. You're supposed to allow them to disregard the authorities and what is set as a rules. No, it's not going to happen with me. And they say they are children of God, instead of being an example so that unbelievers can see Christ in them, they lead the unbelievers into anarchy, into behaviors and conduct that is not like Christ. And they expect that their ministers should be quiet, because if they say something, oh, he's wicked. If they take any action, they condemn them for being wicked. But they have a job. Here, the word of the Lord calls you to do something. Just like in the previous one, he was talking about those who are Christians suffering. Here now, he's talking about the real slave who may have to endure because they are slave, and they are enduring, like we see in a lot of countries, in Nigeria, China, a lot of African countries, where slave trade has continued. Now I've been waiting to see what Joe Biden and Pelosi is going to do about the human trafficking going on around the world. I'm still waiting for a policy. The last administration, when the world got to Trump, the Trump administration put up with the Department of Justice. We don't even know if that department still exists or not. That monitor and track and try to stop the human trafficking around the world, and deploring all the other nations and destroying all those places. Everybody's not going to come to America. There are still going to be some people living there, and therefore, is that responsible? And it is fair and just to destroy those communities and those nations, those tribes and those countries, that only the strong one among them makes it to come to help us to build our place, and then we give them a handout. So when are they going to receive that through us